Assalamu alaikum. How is everyone doing today? Uh, I am Sesame Zuzu. This is my first video on my YouTube account. Uh, Before I get into this topic that I want to talk about specifically, this account is, it spans a whole bunch of different topics really. It's supposed to be insightful, introspective, motivating, sometimes funny, but a lot of it is very serious, of course. And, I'm just a man. I'm an average man. I'm just a man with struggles like a lot of other men, like people in general, a lot of people in the world. So it's not just for men, it's also for women. I hope maybe women could could learn from whatever experiences I want to share here, but mostly it's for men. Uh, Muslims especially could benefit because I do like to dive into Islam a lot. I do like to look to my deen for inspiration in so much in my life. But you don't have to be a Muslim to learn, to to feel inspired by my own experiences. So, of course, most of what I want to talk about is open to everyone. So that is what I have to say about that, and we'll be moving on to the first topic I'll be doing, and this topic is regarding marriage, or more importantly, the mistakes that a man, especially a young man, would make upon entering marriage. And you hear this a lot. Many people know someone, they know multiple people that were married, but but are now divorced, and divorce rates are a lot higher compared to before. Now there are a number of reasons for this, but of course, one reason that a lot of people like to use is that women did not have a sense of empowerment for divorcing before, and they just stuck with the marriage because they were raised to be that way, even though they were not really happy. And supposedly men were like that too. So often before, marriages were, couples were not as happy as they'd want to be, but they stuck with it because culturally it was very upsetting for couples to divorce. But these days, divorce is not really a big deal. I mean, it was for me, of course, when I divorced, because my own family, there's no history of divorce. I come from an Arab background, Middle Eastern background. So, of course, marriage divorce is extremely frowned upon, and especially in my deen, divorce is it's like a last resort kind of thing. It's considered makruh. Makruh is in it's a step below haram, but if it's better than being married in the first place, if it's better for both parties, that is even better for the kids, of course, then yes, you should divorce, but there has to be really good reasons for that. And well, I have plenty of reasons, of course, but I'm not. I don't want to talk about divorce right now. It's more like I want to talk about mistakes that young people, especially young men, would make upon deciding to get married. And of course, this is something for my daughter when she gets older as well. This is something that I am I've been talking to her about a little bit about the future and things to avoid when when a man wants to court her or come to her family and court her. Uh, red flags, so to speak. And I myself I've seen a lot of these red flags and I chose to ignore them. Youthful ignorance, you could call it. And this youthful ignorance, it's dangerous, really, because it's a type of ignorance that, like you have your parents tell you, hey, listen, we were telling you from our own experience that what you're going through is not okay. And because I was young back then, I was 23, and I said, it's okay, I got this, I got this. Oh, to be so young and so ignorant, and so it's almost like you're proud of being like you think you know everything when you're young, and it's only when you go through these bad experiences after that you realize, oh wow, my parents were right. They were right about those mistakes that I made, or about mistakes that could have been avoided altogether. But I was young, of course, and I thought I knew everything. I thought, like this is, of course, I didn't really have experience before even, yeah, either. Like I experience of girls, that is. So I came into this relationship thinking, okay, this is the one for me. I didn't need much time to get to know her. I already know this is the one for me. And to be honest, there's a reason for why I was thinking this. And it has nothing to do with any supposed connection that we had. Because there wasn't really a connection, actually. It was more like, and first of all, there was a language barrier. Because even though, you know, I'm Arab, I was born and raised in the US, so my Arabic is not very strong. It could be stronger. I could do better. I mean, I could understand Arabic, but it's hard for me to speak it the way I'm supposed to. So, unfortunately, it gets very confusing. The communication between me and my ex. Well, at that time, when we first got to know each other before we married, uh, it was uh, it was not very good. And even after we got married for years, the communication was still lacking a lot. So we misunderstood each other on so many occasions. And even if we did understand each other, we're actually very different. We both have very different perspectives on things. She's more liberal compared to me. And if you don't have similar mindsets on things, similar attitudes on things, uh, it's going to create like, if someone's more liberal versus more conservative, there's going to be different levels of religiosity, so to speak. So perhaps there could be a couple that they both don't believe in religion, or there's a couple that believes in religion, but you can't have a couple where one side believes in religion and the other side. I'm not saying they would not. I mean, they, of course, one side believes in religion and the other side doesn't. You can't have that. Now, of course, I'm not saying that my ex was not not religious, but you could say she was more spiritual than religious. There's a difference. Being spiritual is in you have it in your heart that, oh yeah, this is my religion. I'm proud to be such and such a part of this religion. But are you going to practice the tenets of that religion? Or are you going to maybe once in a while, but you're not going to like uphold the principles of your religion as much as you're supposed to. And this is something that a lot of liberal-minded people are when it comes to religion, but that's not what I'm here to discuss right now. I'm here to discuss the mistakes that young people would make upon entering marriage, and this is for my ex too. That's for her as well, not only for me. We both made similar mistakes before we got married. We both saw in each other like, oh, maybe there was a certain attraction on a physical level, but on the inner level, like Mentally, we did not really have a strong connection. And I actually found out later on, years later, that she was not really sure about marrying me, but her mom pressured her to marry me. And what the, and she basically told her, it's okay. You may not feel so strongly about this man right now, but he's a good man. He comes from a good family. You will come to love him. And I mean, I had some issues in my head regarding regarding her, but I didn't really have strong doubts when we got married initially. I just thought, okay, sure, we don't really seem to have a strong connection, like intellectually. It was mostly physical, like holding hands, hugging, kissing. Of course, that was after we got engaged, after we did the marriage contract. So, of course, that it's allowed to do that kind of stuff. This is for the Muslim viewers, by the way. Anyone who's not Muslim, they do how they see fit before their marriage. That's not my business, of course. But for the Muslim viewers especially, we did the Kata Kitab. We weren't living with each other yet, but I was seeing her at her families and at her family's home every now and then, and we would have a little alone time, and it would get physical, like just a little kissing, a little touching. But that's the only thing I really liked. We played card games, but we didn't really do much talking. And for me, I like a nice discussion. I like a nice conversation. And for us to not really have that, I mean, I was hoping we could have that, but we didn't at the time. So I was like, it's okay, it's okay. It'll get better with time. As the years go by, the weeks, the months, the years, things will get better. Because my parents, when they first met and they shortly married after, they didn't really have a strong connection. There was also kind of a language barrier as well. But my mom was willing to learn the English language and she ended up moving to the US. I actually lived in the US before, but ended up staying in Jordan afterwards, moving to Jordan. Uh, so that's what I did, and of course, getting into like, there were other supposed shared interests that we had. Like she said, she's into physical activity, lots of running, walking, running. I was like, I like that too. She likes to eat healthy. She says, because I was like, oh, I like to eat healthy. So yeah, maybe she might not be like an intellectual like me, but I was like, you know what? It's okay. We don't have to be the same and everything. There's certain things kind of different, and other things were similar, and that's what I thought at the time. And really, it was really lust that was driving me. Like I couldn't wait to be with her, physically, sexually, and all that. And that was the main issue. There wasn't really a strong foundation for us to build our marriage on. And of course, a lot of people would say, oh, yeah, that's why we would, you know, of course, this is for the non-Muslims that I'm talking to. Maybe there are even some Muslims who would do this too, where they would actually have sexual relations before marriage. And then they would go, see, we do that to know if we actually have a connection. Then if we don't, well, we just don't. Oh, then we know we don't get married after. But the problem with that, though, and I have a big problem with this, is that it makes it very easy for a person to not develop the love, the connection they're supposed to develop with their spouse. Like, if you're just going to have casual sex and go, oh, it's not a big deal, it's okay. In that case, you're not going to have that strong bond you're supposed to have with your spouse, because sex is supposed to be with your spouse. It's supposed to be with your partner, not with someone that, and Like if it's someone who's not your partner, anything can happen. You're not protected. Neither side is protected. One side could be accusing the other of something, and of course, it's not really personal. There's not really a strong connection. There's not really that strong bond between a couple that they're supposed to be like in a marriage. But that's the thing. That's why a couple, they're supposed to get to know each other first, give each other time to really feel each other out, metaphorically. And of course, it would help for me if I did not do the Keta Kitab, if I just simply talked to her some more, did things around our families, went to gatherings with the family, her family, my family, and because if I got to know her more instead of rushing into it, like it was around 3 to 4 months after we first got to know each other, then we did the wedding. Like I completely rushed into this, and this for the young guys, for the young people, don't rush into a marriage. Don't rush. Uh, of course, I didn't really have the money for all that. My dad, you know, he's a wealthy man. Alhamdulillah, my dad's a wealthy man. He has a family business of my uncle's, and he was able to support me financially in doing the wedding. And but the thing is though, I mean, even though I don't really see that as a big deal, because as a young man, if you have a wealthy father who's willing to help you, it really shouldn't be an issue, to be honest. Like, why not? And eventually, I'd pay him back. That's how we, or he saw it as a gift. It's a gift from him. So, but really though, when it comes to like just taking a few months before you take that crucial step, and even kata kata, but that should not have been done. So because that means you have to, if it doesn't work out, then you're divorcing. Because technically, in a kata katab, in a marriage contract in Islam, you are married, and then that means the dowry that you give to your future wife, she's supposed to be your wife. Uh, she's going to keep it, of course. You have to, or there's other things you have to give her. What's stipulated in the contract, of course. So you have to be very careful, especially the young man out there. You have to be very careful, and you need to take some time. Don't just take a few months. Take a year. Take an entire year to get to know her. Because you know what? If things don't work out, you know what? Ma sar nasib. Ma sar nasib. It's an expression in Arabic. It means it's just it just didn't work out. It's just how it is. It was not meant to work out. It's as Allah dictated that this is not, you are not meant for each other. And me and my ex, clearly we were not meant for each other. And but I at that time I was young, I was foolish, and any issues we had initially, I kept thinking they're going to go away eventually. They're going to go away eventually. But no, they don't. They keep piling on, adding on top, one on top of the other, and I keep trying to be positive and saying it's okay. My mom and dad had issues as well. My uncles and aunts had issues as well. It's common, and they pushed on through them. But little did I know, while I had some doubts, my ex, while we were married, she had even stronger doubts than me. And these doubts, of course, that my ex had, they made it very hard for me to bridge the gap between us, to get over the differences between us, because unfortunately the gap was way too big for me to get over. And of course, these differences, they made it very hard for us to be intimate with each other. So intimacy, of course, it's something that a lot of men, if they are going through as what I went through, it's very hard for them to be honest and open to other people that they would have intimacy issues, because oftentimes the man would feel guilty and he would blame himself and think it's my fault. I'm not a man. There's something wrong with me. Something broken inside me, and so yeah, I had to live with that shame for years before I confessed to my family, before I confessed to a marriage therapist, before a lot of things I had to get off my chest, a lot of trauma that I went through. And it's not to say that my ex didn't go through trauma herself, but this is something that all of this could easily be avoided. You just have to, you just can't go into something blind. That's all it really is. So, just to end the video, there is one note I want to make to you all, and this is that I did say before that earlier in the video that you should take a while to get to know your future partner. Make sure that even if you don't have a lot in common, at least you have similar principles, so that you know a similar moral code, ethics, and all that, so that it's easy to be on the same level fundamentally, and that sets a strong foundation for the marriage. And that's what happened for me, with me and my second wife, because of course I remarried after my I divorced, of course. And alhamdulillah, I'm in a much better place. And I know I stressed that you should take a while to get to know someone, but me personally, because I am older now, in my mid 30s, I know now what I want a lot more than in my 20s. And my wife, she's the same thing. She's also in her 30s, and she's had experience before of getting to know others, and she wasn't married before, but it just didn't work out. It was not in Allah's plan for her to be married from before. So, but she also clearly realized afterwards, after those failed relationships, that clearly there are certain things that she wants, and she found them within me as I found them within her. And of course, we don't have a lot in common. I mean, oddly enough, I would say I have, on a materialistic level, I have less in common with her than I did with my ex. But we share the same fundamental values, and that's why it makes it very. And she's also an intellectual like me, which is amazing. So we have a deep inner connection between each other. And of course, if you feel that you have a strong connection with someone, and in a short time you had that connection, and you just know that you click, that everything is going so good, and you just know that you're going to have a beautiful future together, the both of you have strong conviction in that, then you don't have to wait a long time necessarily. It could be done in a few months. You marry in a few months, sure. And that's what happened for me the second time around. But this time there were no doubts in my head. This time my heart and soul were into it. And it wasn't something born out of lust. This was something that had a lot of respect between us. And this is a theme that I want to explore in the future with you guys. So, inshallah, you got to learn a bit from this to be inspired by what I'm saying. Uh, I'm no one special. I just like to help. I like people to benefit from things that, you know, my own issues in the past, because I believe it's important that we as a society, we face our mistakes of the past and we learn from them, so that those in the future don't keep repeating those mistakes. And I know there's a lot of cynical people in the world that say, the same mistakes will always be repeated. People are just stupid like that or something like that. But I don't believe that. I try to see the best in people, even in a world as dark as the world that we're living in right now can be. I still believe that there's a lot of good out there. It's just it's just hidden a lot. So anyway, inshallah, you all have a beautiful day, and I'll see you all soon.